Good afternoon, and welcome this afternoon to the city's response to the charges that have been filed today by the Attorney General. Today I have with me our City Manager, Elizabeth Pauli, and our Interim Police Chief, Mike Akey, who will be making statements this afternoon, followed by myself, Victoria Woodards, Mayor of this city, to provide comments and the path forward in this investigation. And at this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to City Manager Elizabeth Pauli.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start today with where my heart is. It's hard to express the depth of emotion today. I continue to grieve with the family of Manuel Ellis and for the pain and weight that they carry, and for our community that is straining to help carry that weight by insisting on change that will ensure accountability and dignity for all. My heart also aches for the men and women of our police department who serve honorably and who have willingly joined our transformational efforts. My job today is to work with our chief to begin our administrative review process. This is a solemn duty. We undertake this responsibility mindful that more process can lead to more pain and confusion for many in our community. My commitment is to do our work in a way that maintains the integrity of the criminal process, to be responsive to the need, to be both thorough and efficient, to share what we can as soon as we can as we move through our process steps, and to ensure that these next critical steps do not preclude accountability, but by working closely with the chief, ensure that our process is part of the path to accountability. Now I'd like to turn the time over to our interim chief, Chief Akey.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Today, the Attorney General's office has filed charges against 3 Tacoma police officers regarding the Manuel Ellis investigation. Christopher Burbank and Matthew Collins were charged with second-degree murder, and Timothy Rankin was charged with first-degree manslaughter. We recognize the decision will not lessen the pain our community is feeling. Conversations and actions regarding police reform are as important as ever. We realize we must reduce outcomes that cause pain and diminish trust within our community. We are committed to upholding accountability of individual officers who violate their oath to protect and serve. The Tacoma Police Department will now start its own internal review of the actions of the officers involved in this incident. Based on that investigation, we will make further determination regarding any disciplinary actions, policy, or training changes that may occur based upon the findings. We will issue a notice of investigation to officers involved in the incident. This will also include determining the departmental status of the involved officers in accordance with departmental policies and procedures, contractual obligations, and following due process. In alignment with our commitment to transparency and transformation, we will provide regular updates regarding our internal investigation. Thank you. I hand it back over to the mayor.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, City Manager Pauli. Earlier today, in a special meeting, I, along with my entire council, sent out a statement and voted on a statement and unanimously approved that statement to go out, expressing our deep concern and commitment to moving forward with transformation in our community. Concern for our entire community and the Ellis family and everyone who's been affected by this tragic incident. Today, the Attorney General's office followed through on its commitment to hold the facts of the Manuel Ellis investigation up to the standard of the laws in our state. We now know the significant felony charges that will begin criminal proceedings against 3 City of Tacoma police officers. I know that what I say here today will raise more questions than we have answers for at this time. And I acknowledge that the information I have today is likely to feel deeply unsatisfying. We don't have all of the answers yet, but we will be sharing more as we learn them. What we have is what the Attorney General has shared with us, and what you have heard from our administrative staff is that they will be moving forward on our internal administrative investigation. The charges being brought against the 3 officers on the scene the night of Manuel Ellis's death will no doubt be received with some strong emotions across our entire community. For many, this news will be welcoming. For others, this news will be deeply troubling and difficult to bear. And for more still, the news may prompt any number of mixed emotions. It will no doubt intensify questions about the safety of Black lives here in the city of Tacoma. The truth, no matter where you might stand on the Attorney General's decision, is that Manuel Ellis was a son, a brother, a father, a churchgoer, and a friend to many. The loss of his life is tragic and heartbreaking, and losses of Black life specifically impacts our friends, our families, our neighbors of color, and me. The Ellis family specifically requested an independent state investigation, and I want to thank them for their diligence, and the Washington State Patrol, the Attorney General's office, for their efforts in fulfilling that request. Moreover, the City Council and I are grateful for Governor Jay Inslee and Representative Deborah Interim, who heard us and worked to make independent state-level investigations a right that is available to every Washington family impacted by officer-involved deaths. And I hope in the next legislative session that we will add independent state-level prosecutions as well. I want to thank the community, and especially the Ellis family, who in their grief had to exercise extreme patience. And I want to thank everybody that you've demonstrated throughout the investigation of this case that being patient and waiting for the truth is so incredibly important. I know it has taken much longer to get to this point than any of us ever expected or wanted. But I also believe it allowed for the thorough, independent review that Manny Ellis's family and the Tacoma community deserved. Because the Attorney General's office has reached its decision as an independent agency, this matter will now enter our legal system. And while it will require more of our patience, which will be difficult, we respect our legal system's prosecution of the charges and proceeding in a manner that is just. While the criminal process moves forward, the deputy mayor, the city council, and I will support the city manager and her staff's effort to begin a separate administrative review to determine whether there is cause for additional disciplinary action of the 5 officers who were involved. The council and I will be holding the city manager fully accountable for this review, including responsibility for reporting back to us and the entire community on a regular basis on how this work is progressing. I have complete trust in the diligence that the city manager and interim chief Akey will use following the processes that are required to handle these personnel matters thoroughly and appropriately. We already saw in Atlanta how an officer fired and charged with murder was reinstated. And I can't imagine how that shook that community's sense of safety. I do not want that to happen here. In Tacoma, Our administrative leaders who bear the responsibility and authority for personnel decisions are going about this wisely to ensure the best outcomes for Tacoma. And they do so knowing the intense urgency for answers held by this community, the City Council, and me, both as a Black woman and as mayor of this city. What remains unequivocally true is this: Black lives matter. And we must act like they matter. We must treat them like they matter. We know the systems built up around policing have desperate outcomes across the nation, and the council and I have heard the community's demand for change here in Tacoma. While we await and eagerly anticipate the policing transformation team that we expect to be established as part of the community-led Heal the Heart initiative, we as the city have already begun and will continue to take action to address the important need for change. While we continue to ask hard questions and look for additional areas where we can transform, at the same time, valuable work will continue in our police department. For those officers who work every day with integrity to protect and serve our community, I know the Manuel Ellis case and events across the nation have been heavy burdens for them and their families as well. Many members of our Tacoma Police Department have shared with me that they welcome the opportunity to improve policing in our city, and I welcome their partnership on the transformation we have already begun and will continue to do. While there is so much yet to do, we are already seeing results from our transformation process. We have deployed body cameras to police officers, and I have requested that staff look into using America Rescue Plan dollars to implement dash cams. We've adopted policies based on the National 8 Can't Wait campaign to include eliminating the use of chokeholds. And this year's contract negotiations with our police unions will focus on addressing the barriers to transformation. In March, we received the initial analysis of 64 recommendations from 21st Century Policing to help plan our next steps in police transformation. We are working with the Community Police Advisory Committee to move these recommendations forward. And this week, we just received a study that will help us determine what services we might divert from law enforcement to different kinds of responses. These foundational steps demonstrate our commitment to real change. They are more than just words, they are action. Beyond transforming our policing system, the City Council and I have committed to community-led systems transformation to ensure that all community members have equitable access to opportunities and services, an effort that we now call Heal the Heart of Tacoma. The City Council and I appointed a core coordinating team in November to support this community-led work, and regular meetings have already begun. In addition, the city manager worked to develop the city's first anti-racist budget, which we can amend as needed based on community-led work to become an anti-racist Tacoma. Now, let's be clear. These are just the initial steps. The council and I remain dedicated to supporting this work in whatever way we can, and then continuing to listen to the community suggestion for additional change. Let me end where I began. It has taken us a long time to get to this point in the investigation into the death of Manuel Ellis. I want to again thank everyone in the community for the patience they've shown as we've waited for the results of this thorough, independent investigation. I ask now for more patience as we embark upon the criminal phase of this case and as we begin the administrative review of the facts. What we've learned and will learn from this investigation will help us move our transformation process forward. These charges are not an ending. They are part of the beginning we embark upon to make Tacoma a better place for everyone who chooses to call our city home. If we must go through these deeply difficult and heartbreaking moments as a community, then as your mayor, I promise these hard times will also result in meaningful, lasting change. Out of respect for the Ellis family and the grief and the feelings and emotions that they are experiencing today, this will be the only statement that we provide. This undeniable magnitude of this moment is why I, our city manager, and our interim chief wanted to address the community as quickly and as directly as possible. We are the city of destiny. We meet our challenges head on, but we meet them together. Neither one of us individually can make the kind of change that this community needs, wants, and deserves. But what I do know about Tacoma and Tacomans is that we will get through this. Our city will emerge better than it ever was, and we will get through it together. Thank you all so much for being here today. We will continue to provide updates as they become available, and we will get back to you later with additional details and opportunities to ask more questions. Thank you all so very much.